Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the high-grade After Colony Gundam Deathscythe from the Gundam Wing anime provided to me by my favorite online hobby store, Hobbyling Japan. Links to buy your own God of Death down below. And if you're someone like me and have been waiting a long time to get a modern version of the TV version of the Deathscythe, then this should be right up your alley. There's only a few visible seam lines on the kit, and for the most part, the color accuracy is also nice. We get the usual stickers for the eyes, but then we get something a bit weird for the main camera and the rear camera. Rather than just giving us a metallic green sticker, it is metallic green but with a dark blue border around it. And while this wasn't an issue in the front, in the back this means that if you just put the sticker on there, it really doesn't look that great because it floats above it rather than going inside of the hole. So I rammed it in there with a toothpick. It's not perfect, but it's better than what the manual wants you to do. The last sticker then is a red one for the V on the crotch. So to make it completely color accurate, you just have to grab some gray for the Vulcan guns, the machine cannons, and these two parts on the feet. And as for those two parts on the feet, I think it would have been cool if those had been a separate part. But regardless, straight out of the box we're getting a nice looking and mostly well proportioned Deathscythe. The only thing that might bother you are the proportionally very big knee and ankle guards versus the smaller feet. And when we have a look at the accessories, it's again going to be the same. For the most part, it's going to be really good, like the Buster shield here. It's all nicely detailed, perfectly color accurate, and it does have a mechanism on the inside that these two claws will open up together. We of course also get a very nice green beam effect part, and then you simply hook it up to the left arm. Now, unlike most mobile suits with a shield, this one only goes onto the left arm, but I'm fairly certain that you could just put that part of the left arm on the right arm if you really want to have your Deathscythe have it on the right arm, or maybe if you want your Deathscythe to have two Buster shields. And another really cool thing about the Buster shield is that it's got a hole here, which is for an action base, so you can also pose the Deathscythe after the Buster shield has been shot. The main weapon then is of course the Beam Scythe, and we get a nice choice of two Beam Saber Blade effect parts. We have a somewhat smaller one and a larger one. So of course, for this video, I'm going to be using the larger one. And we've also got a joint right there, so you can use it either as a Beam Scythe or as a Beam Spear. Well, at least they call it a Beam Spear, but it looks a bit more like a Naginata if you ask me. Whatever you want to call it, it fits into the hands very well. And even though the manual tells you to use the normal hands, we also get these optional hands, which also look really cool in combination with the Beam Scythe. And since we're talking about optional hands, we also get two open palm hands, so you can make a few more dynamic poses with this thing. And the final accessory that we're getting then is the Beam Scythe in stored mode. And I gotta say, this is a pretty nicely detailed little thing. We've got no hollow parts, and this hole here is even an actual hole, and we don't have any nasty plastic there that we have to cut out. Wait, hang on a second. This isn't the one we get with the modern one, that's the good one that came with the old Deathscythe. Instead, we're getting this thing, which from this side looks passable. I mean, you still have to remove some plastic there if you want to make it completely accurate, but the other side is completely unacceptable for a modern kit. Jesus Christ, like 25 years of gunpla technology, and we went from this to that. What the hell happened here? Anyways, here is what the manual tells you to do with it, but here's what I recommend you to do with it. And because this thing uses part of the standard Gundam Wing inner frame, we also have a few leftover parts. So with all of those accessories out of the way and dealt with, let's have a look at the articulation of this thing. The head is on a double ball joint, goes a little bit up, a little bit down, rotates around all the way, and also goes a little bit forwards and backwards. The shoulders then are on ball joints, will rotate around all the way, go a little bit forwards and backwards on those ball joints as well as up and down, but then they will also have an extra hinge in there, allowing them to go forwards really nicely. The arms then under normal circumstances will go up about that far, but then with the thrusters here on the inside, we've got an interesting joint going on. This folds in, allowing the arms to go up as far as you would normally expect. So that is a pretty interesting thing. Unfortunately, this also means that this little thruster can only go out about that far. And also the wings on the shoulders, I guess I should call them, these shoulder flaps, these extensions, do not move by themselves, which was a feature that I really liked on the old 1/100 scale. But anyways, the arms will rotate around all the way, the elbows will bend on two joints, and then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. On the waist then, we've got two ball joints for the side-to-side movement and the backwards movement, and then for the forwards movement, we've got, again, those two ball joints, in addition to a hinge joint that is also connected to the back skirt. So we've got some really cool forwards movement, and then the back skirt will go up along with it. We of course also have some rotation there, and then we have yet another ball joint on the thruster here. So that's got some pretty nice articulation going on there. And while we're looking at the back skirt, these hyper jammers here will also go up and down. The front skirts are as always molded together but can be separated and are on ball joints. They go nicely forwards, allowing the legs to go nicely forwards. And then normally for the backwards movement, it sounds really good because the back skirt does move, but it is hindered a little bit by the back skirt. So if you want to push the back skirt all the way back, he has to lean forwards a little bit, allowing the legs to go nicely backwards all the way like that if you move them out of the way a little bit. So even though the design is a little bit limiting, they did work around that nicely. And then we've also got the extra joint in there for some forwards and backwards movement on the actual hip joint. And the legs will go outwards as far as the side skirts will allow. And you'll know when you've gone too far when the side skirts fall off. Then the legs will rotate around all the way. And then for the knees, we've got a quite interesting locking mechanism. So normally it's double jointed and will go about that far. Not too bad by itself. And then if you unpeg this thing, oh, that was too far, you can then extend the lower leg, allowing it to bend all the way. And it got some cool knee armor separation in the process. And then the feet are on the usual hinge and ball joint combo. So they'll go forwards a little bit, they'll go nicely backwards, and they've also got a toe joint that goes backwards. They'll go side to side on that ball joint, and they'll also rotate around again on that ball joint. And then the ankle guards are on a ball joint, so they'll go up and down a little bit on that ball joint, and it'll also rotate around a little bit, just enough to like make it look nice with the feet. And then when we have a look underneath the skirt, we will find an action-based connector. So overall, in terms of articulation, it was pretty cool to see how they tried to get the most out of it while still keeping true to the design of the Deathscythe. Or in other words, you should have no problems making the poses you want to make. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? If you're a fan of the Deathscythe, totally. It's a perfectly fine rendition of the Deathscythe in 1/144 scale. It comes with all the stuff you need, it looks the part, and it's got some great articulation on top of that. For everyone else though, it's your average modern Gunpla kit. in a good way. It's a pretty unique design and it's got a really cool scythe, so you might want to give this thing a shot. For some size comparisons then, here he is next to his best buddy, the Wing Gundam and the Heavy Arms. Next up is the Leo and the old Deathscythe. And just look at the improvement of the model kit itself. We've really come a long way as long as you ignore that stored beam scythe that we have disposed of. And then finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And this reveals to us that the Deathscythe isn't quite the size that it should be. At 12.5 centimeters, that means that the mobile suit would have to be 18 meters instead of the 16.3 meters that it is. But we all know that Bandai stopped caring long ago about scale in favor of compatibility. Anyways, if you want to pick up your own God of Death, links down below, and as always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.